phone so that we can jump into the conversation. Perfect. All right. So welcome in, everybody. I'm your host, Tanya TKO. And today I'm giving you all an opportunity to just come up real quick and talk to me, because I did not realize that the video that I put up yesterday was going to be so controversial, with the guy who's like, he doesn't want to take care of his mom. And he's like, oh, I'm going to put my mom up on game because a lot of the issues was from poor money management and poor decisions and stuff like that. And I'm like, I was confused, because I didn't think that it was controversial to, if you say you're an entrepreneur, to buy your mother a house, get her a house so that she's safe, because rent is going to need to be paid. Who is the rent going to be paid to? The alternative is what? For her to give her money to, or for you to get, it's like, I don't understand. It's like, this is how the rich get rich and the poor get poorer, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's things that I just don't understand. And I'm hoping that you all can help me understand what I'm not getting. So this is my argument. This is the cycle of life. No child makes it out of childhood without adults caring for that child. Children will run into traffic. Children will throw themselves downstairs. Children will tongue kiss outlets. They will not survive without adult intervention, without adult rearing. Who cared for you? If your mother cared for you and she's bad with money, you can try to teach her, but if she's old and she's not getting it, what are you going to do? Are you going to leave your mother there in squalor, in dirt, in filth, fighting for her life out there, while you sit up flying to Ibiza, in Miami, and all these different places, popping bottles and talking about how wealthy you are? My thing is, and I have cut people off before, like, if you're not taking care of your kids, if your kids are filthy, if your kids are dirty, and now that we're in the second half of life, if your parents are filthy, if your parents are in squalor, if your mother done fell out of her wheelchair and she's on the floor and there's no way for her to get up, so she just sits there for days, soiling herself, crying into the carpet, and you hanging out with me at brunch, what I look like with people like that in my circle? So that is my thing. I'm sorry. I can't personally do it. You're free to live your life however it is that you choose to live it, but I am judging you. Yes, I am. Because you can't be sitting up there talking about you're rich and you're wealthy, and your mother is down there on the floor in squalor, in dust mite filled, filthy, dog-stained carpets, crying into the rug. And if that's the type of human being that you are, more power to you. That's how you want to live it. Go ahead and do things that way. It's not... I don't know. I don't know. So Dippity Doo is coming up. Able to say, okay, perfect. So you're there. Come on up. Let's see if the live. Okay, so it's
We're
still
good?
recording.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. So go ahead.
So I think the part that a lot of people are just now realizing, especially as we've gotten older, a lot of our parents were abusive as fuck, whether it be mentally, emotionally, verbally, spiritually, financially, all of these things. Hey, Misha, they were that way, right? So like my mom, toxic as hell. Tried to help her, wants to stay being an alcoholic, do all these things. I am your child. It is not my job to take care of you if you have decided to ruin your life. Right? The whole, well, regardless of how your parents treated you, those are still your parents and you have to forgive them. No, I don't. You disrespected me as a human being. You told me, oh, I could put you into this world, I could take you out, and I'm feeding you, and you're doing things that you're obligated to do. That's it. If you did not do what you were supposed to do for me as a parent or as an adult who was supposed to be my guardian, why do you expect me to take care of you and continue to put myself through mental trauma because you can't take care of yourself? I should never have to take care of my parents, especially if they never took care of me. And I think too, especially like, I know what you said, your culture and a lot of other people. I saw this thing on this Asian lady. I don't know where she's from exactly. She's Asian. And she was doing a video on how, because she was successful and she did all of these things, that she was expected, this is their culture, to take care of her parents, as well as her little sister who's in college. And she's stressed out because they were using her. You know, there's no, her sister doesn't want to get a job, is making horrible grades, but expects her sister to send her $3,000 for a purse. because this is their culture. This is what they believe in. You're successful. You came to America. Now you have to take care of us. And never mind your stress. That means you're ungrateful if you tell us that you can't handle this. That's not fair. Why do I have to
Okay.
emotionally damage myself to take care of your grown ass?
Okay, and you know what? I appreciate you adding that point of view. So let's talk about that. Let's hash that out, right? So you're saying so there's a difference between making sure that your mother is not in squalor and getting $3,000 purses and all of that other stuff. There's a huge it says swipe. This thing is telling me to swipe right to do something. Oh
Oh
my
no, that's
Lord.
the if the it will make the letters bigger. Don't worry about that.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so there's a huge difference between making sure that your mother is not in squalor and $3,000 purses. There's a far gap in between. And if you're an entrepreneur, right? Like this man says he's an entrepreneur, I don't understand why he can't get his mother a house that is an investment property. If she's destroying the house, that's one thing. If she's mentally unstable and she can't live on her own, that's another thing. But your argument is if your parents were terrible parents to you and now they're older and they're in squalor, what are you going to do, Dippity? Is that your
Sounds
name,
like
Dippity Drew? It
yeah,
is, right? Okay. What are you going to
serendipity.
do, Dippity?
It sounds like karma to me, honestly.
Mm.
So, all right, there to me, I look at it like this: if he is in a position, especially he's a black man, I'm asking you.
Oh, you didn't see the video?
No, no, I haven't. I was just listening.
Oh, okay. So let me explain the video,
No, I
right?
mean I got your gist from it. I just want to know specifically if he was a black man that said this.
Well, the reason why I wanted to explain is because yes, he's a black man,
Mhm.
but in the video he did not indicate that his mother was abusive. What he basically said was that part of the reason that they're broke or poor is because of stuff that was in their control, like poor money management, not knowing how to do this, not knowing how to do that. And he's going to teach his mother the game or teach his people the game. Now, his people is one thing, but his mother, if he said, oh, my mother was abusive, etc., so therefore she's on her own, I can't be like, well, regardless of whatever your mother did, but still, if your mother is in squalor, I don't know. Help me
This is
understand how it's okay.
This is the one thing that I've noticed in my years of living, right? Because my oldest
Hmm.
daughter's going to be 17 this year. So I've been around for a minute. One thing that I've noticed, especially with Black American men, is when it comes to their mama, they are mama's boys more often than not, right? So if this black man is saying that he does not care what is going on with his mother, I am led to believe that she did something that traumatized that boy. It could have been emotional incest. It could have been so many different things that put him in a position like, yeah, nah, I'm not doing this. And
So
I really
so
want
I
us to
just,
get rid of the culture
I,
that regardless of how shitty our parents are, that we're supposed to honor them. You did not honor me, so why should I honor you?
let me challenge you on that because the data shows something very different, right?
Mhm.
The data shows that men, by and large, don't feel that it's their responsibility to take care of anyone. They don't take care of their wives. A woman is 6 times more likely to be left by her husband than the other way around once she's diagnosed with cancer.
Mhm.
So the culture of men is, well, I'm not taking care of my wife. I'm not taking care of whomever. They don't do it. So when you say that men are mama's boys, that it doesn't translate into real life because what happens is his woman would be the one taking care of his mother, his wife, his woman. He will get a woman to be able to take care of his mother, but it's not going to be him.
Like I stated, from what I know and the black men that I know, not necessarily mama's boys. That's the wrong label to put on it, but they love and honor their mothers, right? And one thing that I've noticed, if they have cut them off, their mothers are typically just shitty individuals. They're toxic. So I just, even still, once again, like me, pretty decent, doing good. My kids are striving, all of this good stuff. My mother technically needs my help, right? I attempted to help her. She did not want to take that help the proper way because she still wants to do what she wants to do because she figures that it is what it is. And because she's my mother, regardless of how she decides to treat me, I'm supposed to deal with it. No, ma'am, you gotta go. So, however you're living, even if it is in squalor, especially if you are not able to respect me in my home, you got to go. And that's not my responsibility. It's not.
So what's happening to your mother now?
Oh, she's an alcoholic and struggling, and I tried, but no. My mental health of my children are more important because she's not going to threaten my sobriety as well. Do you get what I'm
So
saying?
when you say you tried, what does that mean?
I allowed her in my home, tried to give her somewhere to stay, tried to help her find programs to assist with her addiction. She did not want to do that. You're not going to be in my home and disrespect me. You're not going to be in my home and
Okay.
talk crazy to my children. Like, you know how typically you'll have parents who are shitty parents, but they're excellent grandparents? Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's not happening over here. So therefore, my mental health, my daughter's mental health, my sobriety and all of that is more important than you deciding that I'm supposed to be obligated to you simply because you are my mother and you're going to continue to treat me like I'm not shit. It's not right.
Right. So, and I'm glad that you brought that up because I definitely wanted to hear different people's points of view because I haven't had the experiences that you've had, right? So this is the thing. I think there's a different conversation going on when we start talking about somebody who is one, abusive to us, and two, we attempted to help.
But it's like
And they
when you say the things, when you put that out there, Tanya, though, I think it's more so you need to really look at everything. Like you didn't have that experience. I don't know how your childhood was, but you're definitely on board with making sure that your parents are good regardless of what. Right. So to me, in my eyes, when I see something like that, oh, she must have had a real good upbringing. And that's
right.
cool.
So
But the fact
I
still
want you, I
remains
want
that
you, I,
everybody didn't have it. So to pass
Dippity,
judgment.
Dippity,
Mhm.
Dippity, I want you to give me the opportunity to please respond.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, as I was saying, I'm glad that you brought that point of view up because I think we're having a few different conversations. The conversation between not wanting to take care of our mothers, um, having an abusive mother, and attempting to help a person who does not want the help. Now, if a person is having mental health issues, addictions, if they're abusive and you attempted to help them, that's a much different story than saying, I'm not going to take care of my mother. If there are contingencies on it, that's a much different conversation. I'm a self-love specialist. I don't encourage anyone to stay in any type of abusive interaction, right? So now you're saying your mother where's she living? Is she safe? Okay. Well, then your mother is safe. If
So
your
are
mother
you
if,
saying in squalor or just more so are you concerned with making sure that your parents are safe? And for anybody asking, I've literally been on my own since I was 14 years old. So my story is different from a lot of different people. I did not have adult intervention until I was 19 after I gave birth to my first child. So my story,
okay, so she
there's a call came through. I'm gonna
okay.
drop down because it's gonna echo. I just had a call come through. I'll be
Okay,
back.
so
There's a call came through. I'm gonna drop down because it's gonna.
all right. So listen, if there are other people who want to come up and give their point of view, I definitely want to hear from different people because I only have my point of view. I only know how it is that I feel. And maybe my view is rigid. Maybe I'm being staunch. Maybe I'm not looking at the fuller, bigger picture. Maybe I'm just, it looks like there's three people that want to come up. Hold on.
Okay. So you all are coming up. I'm open to dialogue. I need us to all talk and be able to be respectful when we speak to one another. Okay. So it looks like
Yeah,
this is Talib. All right. Talib, talk to me.
Tyler. All right,
Talib.
my
Okay.
views on it is this. My views on it is this. I had it rough. My mother wasn't there. She had 4 kids, 4 different baby fathers, 5 different husbands. None of them was our father. All right, I'd have been in foster care, yeah. I'd have been in shelter, detention centers, jail, prison, you name it, we claim it. I still take care of my mom, no matter what she go through. I don't know what pressure she had on at the time. I don't know where her mind state was. But I'm not gonna be one of them dudes or one of them people that feel like because I made it or I'm successful, I don't have to take care of my moms. You have a duty, regardless of how your status is in life, to take care of your mother. The Bible states it, God states it. The only way to get to Jannah, to heaven, paradise, is at your mother's feet. Love your mother, man. No matter what y'all say, no matter what y'all do, this is how I feel. This is how I carry. Because all the hardships we had, the disagreements, the bad, the negative things she just said to me, the hardships she's put me through. I'm glad she put me through it for the simple fact, prepared me for this world that put me through way worse. Now, a lot of people are love on friends that don't care about them, love on men or women that don't care about them, worship the ground that they walk on. But when it comes to their mother, they want to hold this thing from my childhood. Man, let it go. Let it go. Your mother carried you for 9, 10 months, because I was carried for 10 months. I was a month late. You know what I'm saying? Like a whole rent bill. But yeah, I had a twin that died at birth. That's why. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? But you can't hold a grudge against your mother. You can't hold a grudge against your mother, your father, none of that.
let me
Y'all don't know
let,
what
let
they've
me
been through in
challenge
their life.
you,
Only thing
Talib. Talib, let me challenge you, right? All right. So when you say you're taking care of your mother, what do you mean by that?
spiritually, mentally, physically. Cause my mother had brain surgery. She's paralyzed on the left side. I catered to my mother in all aspects. I want my
Mm,
daughters, and I just recently lost my only sister,
mm.
but I treated them the same way I want my mother to be treated. So I gotta treat my mother the same way I want the woman in my life to be treated. No matter
Well, let
if
me
she
let
was
me let me let
wrong.
me
You're not
challenge you on
perfect.
that. Hold on, Talib. Let me challenge you because we had a woman who came up who talked about the abuse that she suffered and faced at the hands of her mother, even ongoing. So, what is the obligation that a person has to themselves and protecting their peace versus going above and beyond for a person who, like you said, you were in foster care, she didn't take
Yeah.
care of you, you were on your own. So, what is the obligation to then turn around and take care of a person like that?
It shows that you have better morals and you don't hold a grudge. In the
Mm.
Quran, Surah 94, Ayat 5, it states, verily after hardships comes ease. So if you keep holding on to that, what she ain't do for me, look, man, when my mama was around, be honest with you, man, we got whoopings, old school whoopings. I'm talking about switches braided around the belt. I'm talking about extension cord, hands, feet, knees, elbows, rock bottoms, all that, power bombs. I'm like, all of that. Like, seriously. But if you don't have respect for yourself or you don't want to grow within yourself and let that go, you're going to have an anchor. You will never be able to set sail if your anchor is still set in the ocean, man. Pull it up, put it on the boat, carry on. Carry on.
Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to say this, my opinion on this issue is not hard and fixed. So I am taking all points of views. There are other people who have come up. And so it looks like Clo to Soul, Clo to Soul.
Yes. I
Okay,
like how
so
you said that.
what's your take on this whole thing?
Well, I want to say first of all, thank you. I watch a lot of your stuff, so thank you for having me up. Well, I'm actually at a situation to where now I'm in a space where I'm not married, so I want to be able to take care and be there for my mom. Because of that situation. To me, I saw the video that you're talking about and it kind of
Hmm.
disturbed me because if that's how you feel, then ultimately I feel like, karma comes to everybody. And so, hopefully you'll be able to marry up and won't go before you end up, because if you have kids, I feel like that should be something that you pass on to your children, the thing of the importance of taking care of your elders. But I mean, I guess I can't expect much from a lot of the men now, because it's like they don't really have much of a respect for anything. We don't even respect our elders that are in nursing homes, so I really didn't expect much. It didn't surprise me. But as for me, I'm definitely don't mind taking care of my mom and don't mind, and I appreciate even men who are actually doing that because it just means to me that they are appreciating a life and the people before them. I think it's a appreciation for people that have gone, or people who
Mm.
are gone before you, to help out in that way, and to be there in that way as much as you can. Obviously, you have your own life as far as you being an adult, so you have to develop those things if it wasn't given to you. But that's a part of helping one another and giving back to me.
Okay, okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Apparently, we can only have a certain amount of people come up. So Talib, I need to hear more because there's two different things that are troubling me, right? As a
Okay.
self-love specialist, I want people to love themselves enough not to endure abuse. Um, I do not know where the line is drawn between forgiving a person and now harming yourself to help somebody else. So, did your mother ever apologize? Did she ever come around and what happened to repair the relationship?
All right. This is what happened, right? You know, we still talk about it.
Did your mother apologize?
Yes, she did. She actually apologized for the simple fact. I did 11 years in prison, right? And as we talked about it, and I told her how I felt. See, because like I told my mother and like I told my father, I appreciate the hardships y'all put me through because it just made me tougher and be able to endure the pressure that the world is going to put on. You know what I'm saying? Because I had to realize
Okay.
a lot of people abuse themselves and don't even know it. They put themselves through hardships and don't even know it. And
Okay.
excuse me, and sometimes our hatred that we have for somebody else can trickle down onto your siblings, onto your friends.
I listen, Talib, I really because I have to get to my boot camp this morning, so I really want to get through the live. And so I need us to be very succinct with our answers. Your mother apologized. How did the relationship get repaired? That's what I want you to answer.
Easy, just let it go. Carry on, keep chucking. New day. I ain't gonna
Okay.
look, man. I'm not gonna worry about a carton of milk that we already drunk and it's gone. Go get a cow.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. So you did some sort of internal work to heal yourself from the abuse that you faced. And then that is so financially, how are you doing financially? Because you said that you're caring for your mother now. How is
yeah.
that impacting you financially?
Oh, it's helping me because now I got to come up with more ways, a more strategy and investment to take care of that. So I get on my grind. I'm
Okay.
good financially. My kids are straight.
Okay.
My oldest daughter
Okay.
got her in her
Okay.
own house.
Okay. So
You know what I'm
she's in
saying?
her own house and
Yeah,
you're paying all of the bills in the house.
yeah. I'm
How is
married
she
and
treating,
everything.
how is she treating you now? Is she respectful to you?
Like we chat every morning, every day.
Okay, so the relationship is repaired. So you have forgiven all, the relationship is good now.
Yeah, it's good because I'm not gonna hold on to something bitter. That's what tore me
Okay.
up in the
So
inside.
question for you. If she were abusing you now, how would that affect the dynamic? So because Dippity Doo was up here earlier and she said her mother is disrespectful. She's an alcoholic. She's wreaking havoc amongst her house and family. How would it affect the dynamic if your mother were currently still abusive?
Or what? I still look. I accept my mother for who she are. Right or wrong. Right or
So
wrong.
okay, so if your mother were still abusive, you would just have her in her own home. If what if she destroyed the home? How would that affect things?
If she destroyed it, that's her home. She can do whatever she want to do with it. That's her property.
And then so if let's say she destroyed the home and then she's like, "Well, look now, Talib, I need another house." What's your
All right,
what's your
let's
reaction
go
to that?
get it. Let's go get it. Cause that's my
Okay.
blessings. I get
So
blessed.
you're
In
okay
my
with
religion,
being
I get blessings
abused?
for that. I get blessings for that. I get blessings to endure that. I don't look for materialistic things in this world. That's my mother. I don't care what she go through. Cause the one thing about it, if she ain't pushing me out, I wouldn't be here talking to you. So I'm gonna make sure I owe her that no matter how her attitude is, I'm not gonna sit there and talk about how my mama drank or how she smoked when I drank and I smoked. I'm not gonna sit there talking about how abusive she was when I was out there fighting and boxing and doing all this, that, and the third. Same traits. I look at it. That's what it is.
Okay.
Can I ask
So,
you this question?
yeah, go ahead. Well, okay, yeah, go
I
ahead.
want to
Ask the
know, do you
question.
believe that it's possible that people aren't angry and bitter at their parents for what they did, but still choose that no contact is better for their mental health so that they could be better parents? Or so that they could
Yeah,
be
it
good
is.
parents?
Yeah, I believe in that too. But also at the same time, you gotta understand though, the things that my mother did to me and my brothers and my sister that passed away, I still take my kids around there to see them. I still take her around there for the simple fact that can be the spark that'll make her change.
Can I
That can
Well,
say
be
let
the
me
something,
light that
let
Talib?
me
And
yeah.
I
ask you
want to
this
be
question.
honest with
Hold
you.
on,
And
hold
it
on, hold on,
shows.
hold on. Hold on. I need to ask this question. Talib, if your mother were abusive to your children, would you continue to bring your children around your mother? If she was trying to abuse your children in the ways that she abused you?
Oh no, that's dead. See, I draw
Okay.
boundaries. I have lines. It's not like
Okay.
okay, you can keep. Nah, we're not doing that. We're not doing
Okay.
it. But also at the same
And I
time,
think
I'm
that's
still gonna, I'm still gonna let you interact. You can see him, but as far as trying to pin your hands and abusing the way he did me, it's dead. Now, if you want to talk
Okay.
to him and give him some type of understanding of where you come from and tell them your mistakes so they can learn, a fool learn from his own mistakes. A wise man learn from that fool's. So, you see
Okay,
what's
so
going on?
Deputy, go ahead and address that because I'm going to start rotating the people on the stage because there are more people that want to come up. So, Chloe to Soul, you said everything you needed to say, right? Because we also have to get to Jay Mills.
Oh, I wanted to say one more thing though,
Okay.
to his point. I think there's it's okay to have different boundaries when it comes to your parents, and when you come to that situation, if you're going to quote unquote be that unconditional person in that situation. Like I get that, but to that degree, I feel like with my mom, when it comes to a situation with my mom hasn't put me into anything, and I can't speak on the whole point of having abusive parents and still wanting to do that. I can't speak on that. However, I do have my dad to where he has literally shown me that I cannot connect to him, so I can't, and he's in his older age. And I haven't spoken to him. We live in the same city. I haven't spoken to him since. I haven't, our paths have not crossed for about maybe 2-3 years now. And so that's the thing to where it's like, I can't make you I can't put you in a space to where you can, to where we can't have a relationship. And I don't really personally feel like I owe them that type of, I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to see about you type of situation. But I do feel like I owe that to my mother because throughout everything, and even the situations to where I have switched up, my mother has been there for me. So I feel
Okay.
like if having boundaries in that way is helpful to where you can still be there for your parents, that's cool. But the boundaries needs to be set because of the fact that you need to be able to protect your mental health
Okay. So,
and your
so, so
well-being.
let me, so, right. So I'm going to ask you this last question. And after you answer that, I'm going to let you drop down. Okay, Chloe? Your father, where is he now? How is he living?
He's living okay. He's never been the type of person that's ever been messed up. He's
Okay.
perfectly
Okay.
fine. But
Okay.
like I said, we live in
And
the
so
same city, but we don't speak.
hold on, if your father were in squalor or living below the poverty line, would you do anything to assist him considering the relationship you had? Yes or no?
Nah.
Okay. Okay. All right. And that would make you feel no way on the inside because of the relationship that you had with him.
No.
Okay.
Honestly, at this
Well, that
point, no.
you know what that's all I wanted to know. So I appreciate that, Chloe. Let me let you drop down back into the audience.
Thank you. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me.
Yeah, thanks for coming up. Deputy, you can go ahead and address Talib, and then after that, I'm going to hear from Jay Mills.
Talib, I honestly, like, I get what you're saying as far as the technically burden that society would put on you as a man, especially a black man, and that places you in that situation. I just want you to really sit back and look because that sounds like hella abusive and like you've been conditioned, like a lot of us, to say, well, yeah, my parents whooped my ass and I turned out fine and it's not healthy. It's abuse. It is what it is. It's commendable that you're still able to push through and feel as though like it's not something that I should hold on to. It's not bitterness, but everybody's not bitter. I'm not angry. I have compassion. I have empathy. I'm not going to see anybody out bad. I could make her life a whole hell of a lot worse. But once again, there's absolutely nothing wrong with choosing your mental health first. That's just how I feel. So,
Okay. Well, you know what? I appreciate you too, Talib. Quick 30-second response, and then I'm going to let you both drop down, okay?
Oh yeah, like I said, it wasn't easy, man. It's a DNA, it's line. That's all it is with me. I'm trying to make it somewhere better, man. It conditioned me, man. Mashallah was already written for us to go through that. That's how it occurred.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Jay Mills, come forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on the conversation so far? And how does this relate to you and your background and taking care of your mother and abuse and boundaries and that type of stuff?
Well, when I saw the topic, my mind. First off, how you doing, ma'am, Miss Tanya? I appreciate you letting me come up in your live, and yeah, there's a whole
MC, you gotta
echo.
mute yourself because there's a lot of noise coming from your thing.
Sorry,
Thank
and
you.
I appreciate it. The conversation. What's up, Chrissy? Um,
Hey, how are you?
the conversation kind of makes me think. My mind automatically went to, okay, taking care of your parents, like when you get married or something like that. My mindset is, one, I know my relationship with both of my parents. I was on a live where I talked about it last night. So I like what I heard as far as him wanting to take care of his mom and everything. I also like what the other lady had said, where she was like, you gotta establish some boundaries, some clear boundaries with your parents, you know. And I believe that as a Christian man, I always believe in the whole leave and cleave thing. So if it came to a situation where I had to take care of my mother or my father, you know, when I'm married and I got my wife and my children and everything else like that, my parents are going to have to understand that, in spite of how much I do love them, my family comes first. All right. I can't just stop what I'm doing to take care of you if it's going to cause my family to go under. And as far as the abuse is concerned, I suffered verbal abuse at the hands of my mother, and healing has happened. But at the same time, some of my mother's ways have not relinquished. And the problem with that, for me at least, is that she doesn't see it until she gets around my grandmother, who is the exact same way, except just older. My grandmother will be 90 this summer, and she is still the same way. And my mama doesn't see that until it happens to her. And then she's like, oh, your grandmother is this, your grandmother is that. And then I'm just like, yeah, sucks, right? Your mother is so selfish and so this and so that, and doesn't see anybody else's point of view but her own, right? It sucks. Yeah. And then she kind of looks at me like, so you're saying that's what I do to you? And I'm like, yes. From the time I was born, whenever I was conscious of it, to now, you are one, if you don't get your way, you start calling people names. Like my mother called me a misogynist this past weekend. Just because I asked her, because my dad, I had this big service at this church I just got hired at. And my dad said, you know what, son, I haven't flown in 43 years, but I'm going to fly up there for you because it's a 7-hour drive up from Dallas. Now, he had asked my mother to fly up there. He said he paid for the ticket and everything else like that. And she said, no, I don't want to fly. I want to drive. And I said, you know what? Both my parents are like in their 60s. You know what I'm saying? A long ride might not be like the best option or whatever. So I said, let me go ahead and see if I can talk with her about getting a plane ticket. Basically, long story short, my mama said, I'm tired of you men trying to tell us women what to do, misogynistic, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, I just hung up after that because I was like, I know this woman did not just call me a misogynist just because I asked her to fly instead of drive by herself. And I was like, you know what? After that, I was just like, I don't even want to have a conversation with you. But then after she got up here, my sister drove her up. We had a whole itinerary, and then she didn't even want to stick to the agenda because she wanted to do her own thing. And my girlfriend now has said, like, it's really interesting that you have this agenda that everybody agreed to, but your mama wants to make it seem like the weekend's about her and not about you. I'm
Okay,
like,
so Jay Mills, let's get back to the heart of the matter. Is your mother broke?
she will be if she continues with these spending habits.
Okay.
She will be.
All right. So, all right. Thank you. I really don't know what to say. There's a lot going on in your situation. I don't know how you have a 60-year-old mother, because how old are you that you have a 60-year-old mother? Because 60 is so young.
My mother is 63. My father is 64. I'll be 33 in July.
Oh, how interesting. All right. So you're saying that if your mother becomes broke, you're not taking care of her.
If it affects my family, no, I will not. But if I'm financially able to, yes, I will.
Okay. So basically what you're saying is you're putting your family first. If your mother is broke, and it will hurt your primary family. You said you have a girlfriend, so what family are you talking about?
Like, should we get married? And we get married and I have children and everything else like that. If it gets to the point where my mother's falling on hard times, and let's say she needs me to like pay her bills at her house, or even say, hey, have her move in with me. If it's gonna pose any type of detriment to my home, where my family's at, I'm going to say no. And no, my mother is not married. My parents have been divorced for
Okay,
20 years.
let's jump to the next person. Chrissy, please
Hello,
come forward. And then Miss Zanita, and then Kai
Keisha.
It's Keisha.
And my
Okay,
name is Zenity.
Oh, Zenity. Okay, perfect. All right, Chrissy Love, let us hear your point of view.
So I actually have a narcissistic parent. My mother is very narcissistic, and she's diagnosed, and she's a sociopath. So growing up with her wasn't really easy.
Mm.
um until I being the fact that she is a narcissist, they don't understand emotions. So my mother never raised me up to understand emotions or feelings or love. She'll straight up tell you, I don't know what love is. So I never really felt that from my mom. So when I had children, I grew, became an adult and stuff like that, I recognized that I had to detach from her because she's toxic. Even though she has a mental problem, I couldn't allow her mental problem create a mental problem for me where I could not parent for my children. A lot of people feel like just because people are your parents that you have to have them in your life. No. If they mean you harm, they're individuals just like you. Just because they brought you into this world, that don't mean that you have to endure suffering or trauma or toxicity. You can have healthy boundaries with your parents, or you can detach and don't feel bad about it. People like to make people feel bad, or children feel bad, because they don't interact with their parents. But what are these parents doing to these children's mental health? And if it's causing damage, leave them alone. If my mother got old, no, I still wouldn't interact with her. She got to figure that out on her own. She will have to deal with it, because what happened was with my mother personally, when we look at narcissism, because I had to learn about what narcissistic behavior
Mm-hmm.
traits and all that is. You allow trauma to affect you. You allow trauma to bring you so far into a negative space that you suppress your own emotions. So she allowed the trauma that she had from her mother and her past to create the trauma that's in her life. Now, I got one or two options. I could allow it to affect me and then turn around and affect my children. I could say no. And so she got old, and I would not be there. And I feel no shame for saying that. I would not be there. I would not want to be bothered. I would not deal with it. I would not put that toxicity in my life. I will leave her alone. This is the environment she created. I'm not
Who took
responsible.
care of you? Who took care of you when you were a baby?
My mom. The only reason why I had a little bit of love is because I had a great grandmother. My mother's father's mother. I would get to go to her house, and she was full of love. Without her, I probably would have been another statistic. I would have been gone. I would have been nothing.
So your primary caregiver was your mother.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay, so I understand you say your mother's narcissistic and that she doesn't understand emotions, and she got you out of childhood into your teenage years. When did you move out from your mother's house?
2 weeks after my 18th birthday with just the clothes on my back. My mother punched me in my face and she knocked me so hard in my eye I saw stars. My mother put stitches upside my head, strangled me, knocked cracked teeth. Physically abused. Mind you, my mother was a child protective
Oh,
service worker. She was a caseworker for child protective service. And I
how
was heavily
interesting.
abused. Yeah. So, and I left. I
Okay.
left with the clothes on my back, age 18. Never went back home.
Okay, okay. So you're saying that because of the abuse that you faced physically, mentally, psychologically, that though your mother cared for you, that there was emotional, physical traumas that would stop you or disallow you from even caring about her now at this point.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I got you. I hear what you're saying. And so you're saying if your mother was in squalor, you would not care
No.
because of the trauma that you feel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Has your mother ever come back and apologized, or her mental illness is stopping her from ever being able to see the things that she's done?
Her mental illness prevents her from seeing
Okay.
anything that she's done. She lacks, being a fact that she has a mental illness, she lacks accountability. So nothing is her
Okay.
fault. Narcissistics,
No,
nothing is their
listen,
fault.
listen. I hear what you're saying, and this is why I brought people up so that I could hear different points of views. And I mean, a lot of this is making sense to me. I don't know what I don't know what the solution is because I know that you can't have abusive people near you. And I know that there's a certain amount of trauma that still exists when we're numb to to the sufferings of others. So that's very interesting. Thank you for adding that. Jay Mills, I appreciate you adding your point of view. I'm going to let you drop down to the audience, and then we're going to Zanady. Is there anybody that wanted to
Zenity.
address Zenity? Is there anyone that wanted to address what Jay or Chrissy said, and then we'll move on?
I think what Chrissy did was very valid because if you stay in a toxic situation, no matter who it comes from, it's only going to add to your own
Yeah,
cycle of
yeah, yeah.
perpetuating abuse of
Right,
some
I got you.
sort.
So let me let Zenity.
Yes.
All right. So Zenity, come forward and say. It sounds like there's an echo with you, though.
I'm sorry. I'm listening on my car radio. I'm gonna turn it off.
Okay.
See if that's better. Is this better?
Say something.
Hello.
No, there's still a double echo for some reason.
Okay. Let's see now. Is it gone?
Testing. All right, it's gone.
Hello. Okay. All right. I had you hooked up to my car. That's why.
All
Um.
right.
Pretty much, I just wanted to speak on my childhood. My mom, she has bipolar disorder. So
Mm.
growing up, it was, either very hot or very cold. And it has caused me to have, mental issues. And I honestly like cut my mother off. I wouldn't say like I mentally cut her off because growing up, you can't like physically cut your parent off. But I did not really have a relationship with my mom growing up. But once I had my child, that's when I seen a change in her. Like now, since she's older, I'm 23. Um, I can say she's a lot calmer and she's not as toxic. But before, I did not have a relationship with my mom. Like I completely cut her out, and I decided to work on my mental health and heal myself. And when I took a break from my mom, I didn't speak to my mom for about a year. And I came back and I addressed the issues that I've had, the childhood traumas. She actually apologized for all of it. And that gave
Mm.
me grace and it lifted my heart, it lifted my spirit. And now, I am willing to help my mom in any way that she needs. But she's well off financially, so she doesn't need help. But if she was to need that help, I wouldn't mind giving it to her because she did that work and she's, more open and receiving of love.
Okay. Is she on medications now to control her bipolar disorder?
No, but I know at one point she was.
She's not on medications. How is she not going to have an episode?
There's no telling. With bipolar, it's random.
Wow. Okay. So the apology and her changed behavior is what made the difference for you. So if she had not apologized and her behavior was the same, then you would be like, well, to hell with her.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
got you. Got you. All right. And then Kaishep?
Keisha, good morning. How are
Kaishep,
you?
okay, go ahead. Hi.
Well, my mother, my experience is my mother was the pick me. So she decided to choose a man who was not only for her best interest, but for mine either. And he ended up taking us overseas to Japan because he was in the Navy. And while being in the Navy, he was one of the biggest adulterers all around the Navy. So that had a very detrimental effect on our relationship because I had begged her, like, please do not marry this man. And she didn't listen. So you chose this man over me. In addition to that, he took us over there and we ended up abused mentally and emotionally. My relationship with her basically was extremely fractured. And then when we decided to leave him, we came back to New York homeless. So we went from having our own place to moving with him to Japan and coming back to New York being homeless.
Okay. I have some questions for you, but Chrissy, I'm gonna let you drop down to the audience so we can bring somebody else up. I appreciate all of you sharing your stories. This is definitely assisting me in seeing that there are other sides to the whole conversation. So thank you. Thank you all for sharing.
Sure,
I
sure, sure.
appreciate it.
But can I add one more thing before I go? I just want to say this. As you can see,
Yeah.
we all have trauma when it comes down to our parents. Don't allow the trauma that you have with your parents affect your future. There's help. Go get therapy, and
Mhm.
you can change and then create an environment so that your children will be better off. Those situations that I went through, I learned from. Even though they was bad and toxic, I learned a lot from the situations, and I'm a better person because of it. So don't let those things defy you in a negative way. Everybody stay safe.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. I have definitely grown my perspective from this conversation. So, K-Shap, you were speaking, right?
Yes.
All right, continue.
So basically, it had a detrimental effect in terms of how I had relationships with men going forward, because having a poor relationship with my mother and then having that extremely poor relationship with my stepfather, when men are supposed to teach worth, he showed me that I didn't mean much. So it's kind of hard to navigate relationships when you don't know your self-worth. And if you don't know self-worth, you can't establish boundaries or standards because you don't know. You're only going
Right, which
by
is which
the
is which is
patterns.
understandable. So most of the issues that you have with your mother is that you're saying that she was a pick me and she chose a man that you begged her not to marry. So where is your
Absolutely.
mother now and how is
Well,
she?
oh, we had a very tumultuous relationship because once I stepped into getting help for myself and valuing myself from a healthier place, it was like we were at war. And, because people treat you according to what you will allow them or how you allow them to treat you. But once you start to establish boundaries and standards for yourself, you're going to be at war with some of these people because they don't want you to change. They don't want you to stand up for yourself. So there were periods in time when I would cut her off and go no contact because I was like, this is not healthy. And as long as we're in a dysfunctional
So
place,
so hold on. So I want to get more understanding because you said that your main issue with her was that she was a pick me, but you're saying she was also abusive?
well, what happened? The neglect, there was neglect there and there was abandonment there. So my mother wasn't, I can't say there was abuse there in a sense of maybe verbal and maybe mental, but not really physical. But the fact that she abandoned me during a time when we were both being abused was traumatic. And I was a teenager, so I couldn't differentiate what was healthy and what wasn't. I just knew it didn't feel good.
So when you all came back from Japan, she brought you with her.
Yes.
When
She
did she
divorced him.
abandon you?
Well, the fact she abandoned me when she decided to choose him. because that
So you're
changed our
considering,
relationship.
so you're considering her moving with you to, because I didn't know if you meant that she left you somewhere.
No.
You're saying, okay.
I moved to Japan with her as well. But it became because I no longer trusted her and that's where the abandonment came in. You chose this man who was toxic and abusive. That's where the abandonment came in. So I had abandonment issues. I had issues of loss because even though she was there, she wasn't. And I no longer trusted her to connect and confide in her because she had made that poor choice.
I'm a little bit confused. Help me understand, because it sounds like your mother is suffering from low esteem herself. It sounds like your mother doesn't love herself.
I think there was a point in time when she really didn't. You know, I know my mother has been through her share of stuff as well, but it had to do with family because my family on my mother's side was really, really toxic. So it got to a point where she felt desperate, like she had to get away, but she did not have to choose him to do it. You see what I'm saying? Like sometimes we feel the opportunity that's presenting itself is the best opportunity, but sometimes it isn't. And she felt that
How
she
many
had to
how
get
many
away.
children how many children did she have at the time?
Just me. I'm the only child.
Oh, okay. So she had one child. She met a man. He was not the best man. You didn't like him. She
No,
took you all over to Japan. She chose him over you, but she did
absolutely.
end up divorcing him and then she brought you back to the US. You all were homeless. She kept you with her when you all were homeless, or she left you?
I had to move to different family members' homes.
Okay, so she was in somebody else's house. You were in other people's house.
Yes.
Okay, so you're saying that if your mother needed help today, that you would not help her
No,
because
I'm
of
not
what it is
saying
that
that.
you went through.
No, had we not worked and repaired our relationship, yes, I would not be bothered at all. But we have worked on our relationship and she's held herself accountable for the poor choices that she's made. And she's apologized profusely as well as say, you know what, had I looked into other things, I would have done things differently. So of course hindsight is 2020.
Okay, okay, very interesting. All right. Well, you know what? I appreciate you adding that point of view. Miss Z and Kay, I'm going to let you all drop down,
Can I say
and
Thank
then we're
you.
something?
going.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing your point of view. Then we're going to hear from Karma and then India, and then there's another person that wants to come up.
Okay, so I heard K Steps point, and I just wanted to relate with her and let her know. I feel like a lot of Black mothers who have children who are traumatized, they have low self esteem because my mother did the same thing. There has been several times where she left me with my little sister, wanting me to take care of my little sister to go be with the man, or she claimed that me as a 12-year-old was trying to ruin her family because she was married to my little sister's dad. Just like constantly putting the blame on me, and I was only a child. There has been times where she's lashed out, she's beat me, choked me, sent me to school with like black eyes, things like that. I've been
Oh, I'm sorry. Uh-oh. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness. We lost her. Uh-oh. Sorry. Let me see. I think she's trying to come back up. All right. I'm sorry. Were you speaking, Z?
yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, go
Okay.
ahead. Sorry about that.
It's okay. It kicked me off, but pretty much just the abuse I went through was because my mother hated how I was a reflection of herself. And she would always say, you remind me of me. You remind me so much of me when I was younger. But in the same breath, she would lash out and, hit me or, emotionally abuse me, talk bad to me, things like that. So I just wanted to relate to her in that aspect. But, as you grow older, I seek therapy, I got help, and I've just learned to work through it. And that has really just helped me in my journey.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying now that if your mother needed assistance, that you would assist her because you repaired your relationship.
It wouldn't let me unmute my mic, but absolutely. Shouldn't you be able? Yes, I'm sorry. My mom is actually right here, right next to me. Mama, I'm on live, please.
Oh, wait. Well, let's hear from Mama. Well, since she's there.
Say hey, Mama.
Hey.
Okay, so I got some of the stories mixed up. So you're saying that your mother wasn't the one who dragged you to Japan, right?
No.
Okay, your mother is the one who has bipolar.
Yes.
Okay, so Mom, how come you're not on any medications now?
The medications that I tried, Depakote, we did lithium. They just don't. We tried to do the correct dosages, trying to get me back right, but they just don't. They leave me like emotionless. I forget my memory, my math skills, everything. It's just my mental health, just not mental health, but my mental capacity goes down with the medications that they put me on, and I just can't function that way.
So, question about an episode. What are you doing to make sure that you don't have another bipolar episode?
Truthfully, a whole bunch of prayer. And I've been doing like self-care, just taking care of myself, making sure that I'm doing what I need to do in order to take care of me. And I feel like a lot of the times my episodes came about is because I was stressing and, trying to do too much of everything. And
Okay.
leaving me open. So I feel like, and it's actually been working. Instead of the medications, by me actually taking the time and taking care of me, I've been able to control my bipolar just that way.
Okay, when was the last time you had an episode?
I think it was, when was it, Zenity?
It's been years.
It's been about maybe like 2 years ago. About 2 years ago.
Okay, and so are you able to feel when an episode is getting ready to come on so that you can do things to offset it?
It's not really a feeling. It's more so the things that we actually do. Like if I see myself like spending out of control, impulsively, spending money, it's like little, cues. It's not just like a physical feeling. It's just like, what I would do out of the norm.
Like that mania
so, right.
Okay. So the question of the episode to Zenity's mom is, we were talking about a man who said that he was not going to take care of his mother in her older years, and so people were coming up and telling why they would not. How is your mother doing now?
My mom is dealing with, she has dementia. And she's dealing with, a whole bunch of her health. She has high blood pressure. She's had stroke, diabetes, a lot of it.
Who's taking care of her now?
Honestly, it's like it's an effort. The most person that's actually doing it is probably her husband. I don't do what I should. Because, like I said, I'm trying to take care of me. I got a lot going on in my life as well. And then I also have a lot of hard feelings, that unresolved, trauma and issues that I have with my mom. And I'm trying to work through that now. And so that's what's really keeping me from, being there like I should be for my mom.
But you do a lot anyway.
So my question is, if your mother wasn't good, if she didn't have a husband to care for her, and you still have these issues, how would you handle the help that she needs or needed?
I think that it would still just rely and lay on me. And then I think that it would be putting, my mental health in jeopardy, because I'll be still dealing with those issues. So, that's my mom, and, we've had issues or whatever, but that's still my mom. And without her, I wouldn't be here. So I would have to put, all that aside, and it would be me that would be, I do a lot now, even though her husband is there with her. I still take care of her meds, make sure she goes to the doctor, check to make sure that she's getting everything that she needs. It's just good that she does have that extra help there. I have a brother who's one is in the pen, sorry, putting my business out there, and my other brother, his health is not the best either. So everything is, is falling off on me.
Got you. Okay, well, that's very interesting. So I don't even know what to say, because this is very complex. I appreciate you coming up and sharing your point of views. Anything, I'm going to let you and your mom drop down into the comments. Thank you.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much, Tanya.
All right, Karma, come up, and then I'm going to have to end the show because I got to get to my boot camp, because I got to keep myself healthy.
Hello, and thank you. And long see, Tanya. Um, I just like to say that I apologize for the experience of all of the people that I heard and the way that they were raised by their parents. My grandmother was actually the abusive person. Like my mother went through a lot of the things that people, brought up, like the mental abuse, physical abuse, abuse by the men my grandmother brought into her life. And my mother basically used that to opposite parent me and my sister. Like whatever she didn't like about her life growing up, she made sure that we didn't experience it. Like we always had a voice, no matter if it was like anybody of authority, she gave us our chance to speak. She always had our back. Like she just always made me feel safe. And now that I'm older and I am established and I can take care of her, she won't allow me to because she doesn't want to put herself into like my family because I'm married and everything. So she feels like she doesn't want to be a quote unquote burden, even though she never could be. So it's like kind of like the opposite with me. Like she won't allow me to because she's been so independent for most of her life. Like she beat stage 4 lung cancer. And even when she was sick with lung cancer, she did not want like us to stop our lives to take care of her, and like just hearing the stuff that people have gone through with their parents or whatever, you kind of get a better a better sight of what's happening with people and why they are the way they are, why collectively people are the way they are and the way that they're standoffish to other people and not very friendly. But, she, like my mother, oh my God, I tell her every day that I love her. Like, I don't think she could have done any better. And I'm not saying that I never got my ass whipped or anything like that because I did, but it was very far and few in between and necessary at the time.
Okay.
But
So let me ask you this question then. Hearing some of the stories on the panel that we had today, how does that affect your feeling about the topic at hand about not taking care of elderly parents?
I think that like when it comes to your parents, because this is not just a random person or whatever, and I could be just speaking from a point of bias because I have very good parents. I think that you should show them kindness because the abuses that they could, be subjected to by being taken care of other people at their age is far more detrimental to their quality of life than it was for you as a child because you can grow and you can get therapy and you can fix the relationship and you can get past it. But you don't want to, being a parent doesn't come with a manual. You understand that we evolve with the times, and just because something was okay then, it might not be okay now, but it was the way it was. You understand? So you don't want to show them the same attitude that they showed you growing up because honestly, if they knew better, they probably do better. A lot of our
Yeah,
parents
I
was
don't know.
on
I don't
drugs.
know
A
how
lot of our
long you've been
parents.
listening. I don't know how long you were listening to the live, but there were people whose parents were abusive and are still abusive. So what does a person do in a situation like that if the person is currently still abusive?
I think that when anything starts to hinder on your mental health, and you have people to take care of and you have people that rely on you, sometimes you just have to cut the cord. It gets to that point. If the person you're
Gotcha.
trying to work with is working against you, then what
Yeah.
can you do? You can't change somebody's mind for them. You understand? It's just
Got
like,
you. So listen, I hate to cut you off. I just want to hear from India because it's coming to the time that I have to leave for my
oh
boot
yeah,
camp.
thank you,
So
Tanya.
thank you for coming up. I hope that everybody here is following and can send me topics and stuff like that for future discussion. So thank you. I'm going to let you drop down. India, is it?
Indita, but yes.
Indita. Okay, so Indita,
Yeah.
speak your piece.
Okay, so two things. I worked with adult protective services when I was younger, for an internship, and I was shell shocked because I saw like these elderly people in the worst imaginable situations. And I was like, how can families do this, or why are they alone, or why are people abusing the elderly because they're so fragile? And the social worker told me, you don't know who they were and what they did to their families when they were younger. And that just
Yeah.
blew my mind because it was something I never considered, and it's a horrible sight to see, and you wish the world was different. But again, you don't know what traumas they've caused to people that they don't want to be around them, or you see unfortunate situations where the children will take out, their emotions and that history on that elderly person, which is sad.
Ooh,
Um,
yeah.
personally, my parents sat me down. There are four children in this family. My parents sat me down at a young age. I want to say I was about probably 10, and they said, "You're going to be the one to take care of us." And I was like, "What? I am? Yeah, we don't want to go to nursing homes. We want to stay with you." And I held on to that. And me and my mom do not have the best relationship. She's been through a lot of trauma herself. So I learned through therapy to set really good boundaries with her. So there's times where I don't want to deal with her, but her and my child have like a very strong relationship. So I don't get in the way of that. And in my heart, I'm still going to take care of her, even though she's not someone I would want to personally have a friendship or relationship with, just because of that responsibility I took on from such a young age.
Wow. Well, you know what? Thank you so much for adding that bit in there. So, yeah, you know what? I appreciate it. I'm gonna let you jump off because I have only about 5 minutes before I need to leave here to,
Thank
and I
you.
gotta get myself dressed up and everything. I gotta change my sports bra because this one is a little loose. But all right, thank you. Thank
Uh-huh.
you. All right. So
But I appreciate each person who came up and shared their point of view. This definitely gives me a lot of food for thought and things that I had not considered. Um, Very interesting, very interesting. So there are two different things and two different conversations that were going on here today. In the video that I reacted to, and if you haven't seen the video, it's on my profile. It's the one with the black guy who's saying that he's not going to take care of his mother, right? And so he did not indicate that his mother was abusive. He did not indicate that his mother had a tumultuous relationship with him and didn't take care of him. The only thing he indicated is that he grew up poor, impoverished, and that part of the issue is that they didn't know how to manage money. And I'm like, well, if your mother is broke and she doesn't know how to manage money, what do? Do you just leave her there in squalor while you're calling yourself an entrepreneur? This definitely gives me a lot to contemplate because it seems as if there is a break that happens, right? And if you all are not on my YouTube page, make sure that you come to my YouTube page because that's my main page. I barely ever upload anything on TikTok, but I go live several times a week on YouTube where I get the smaller clips for the TikTok page. And actually, no, there's only a few clips that actually make it to TikTok. Most of my lives are diving into full topics. And this is a topic that definitely needed some expounding, but we're talking about people. And so my thing is, it seems as if people who got the apologies and the relationship was repaired, then after they got the apology, the animus dissipated. But I wonder, what does it do to a person to hold on to that non-forgiveness? What does it do to a person that your parent is in squalor and you're like, oh, well, I don't care? What does it do to a person to not have forgiven? What does it do to a person to care for a person in their time of need who was not there for them in their time of need? Does that give you the higher moral, the moral high ground? Is that self-abusive? And as a self-love specialist, these are things that I have to ask myself because I don't know the answer for each person. What is self-loving in each situation is going to be different. And so I appreciate all of you for coming out, for being in the comments, for the people who came up on the stage. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to jump out of here. Make sure that you follow me on YouTube, Facebook, I have a website, TanyaTKO.com. It's my name, TanyaTKO.com. You can come there and find the links to all of the other things. You can also submit topics on my website, TanyaTKO.com. So Casey is saying that their parents treated them terribly and expects their help. I honestly don't know what the solution is, because I know that there's a certain amount of trauma that we face when we are holding on, when we numb ourselves, when we're holding on to this unrest, and we numb ourselves to the pain and suffering of someone whom we knew all our lives. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know, but I do know that I got to get out to my boot camp, and I will see you all in the next video. Meet me on YouTube. All right. I'll see you all later. Peace. Tanya TKO. And I'm out. Will I put this live on YouTube? If I can figure it out, how to download it from here. Oh, but you know what? I did a screen record, but then my battery was low, so part of it didn't come through because the low battery part froze the whole screen. So I have to see how we're going to do this. All right. Thank you all so very much. I love you. Tanya TKO, and I'm out. Go out there and love one another, but most importantly, love yourself. And the SLL self-love lesson for me in this video, and you can think about the self-love lessons. If you get the opportunity, you can type your self-love lessons once the video is up on YouTube. The self-love lesson for me in this instance is to definitely open yourself up to different opinions, different experiences, to understand and not be judgmental from the gate. Like how I'm like, oh, if your parents are dirty, you can't sit with me. Do I judge a person for handling the trauma that exists in their parental relationship, so that I'm like, well, I can't be your friend if you are handling this situation, this trauma with your parents? But to me, it speaks to a much larger issue of a state of being unhealed. So I don't know. There's a lot that I'm going to be thinking about as I walk to my boot camp, and some stuff that I'm going to think about after I get out of it. So I'll see you all later. Thank you for opening your hearts, minds, lives. And what I thought was most interesting is the woman who was in the car with her mother, and the mother talked about the trauma that she had from her mother, so that this is now passed down generationally. And somewhere along the lines, we have got to break and end the curse and the cycle. And sometimes that is forgiveness. And sometimes that looks like helping a person who on the surface seems like they don't deserve it. I don't know. I'd love your comments and all of that. So I will see you all in the next video. Thank you all. Tanya TKO, and I'm out. Peace.